back to the continuing debate. We've got a Twitter question. We ended talking about medicine, Obamacare. We actually have a Twitter question about it, too. It was a question left at CNN Debate. If Obama's health plan is bad for the U.S., what is the alternative, and how will you implement it? Congressman Paul, is there any aspect of Obamacare that you would like to keep, whether it's keeping kids to stay on their parents' insurance until they're 26 or no pre-existing conditions?
Really not, because he's just adding on more government. There's been a lot of discussion about medicine, but it seems to be talking about which kind of government management is best. But our problem is we have too much. We've had it for 30, 40 years. We have Medicare, we have prescription drug programs, we have Medicaid. And what we need, I mean, there's a pretty good support up here for getting rid of Obamacare because it's a Democratic proposal. And we want to opt out. I think we'd all agree on this. But if you want better competition and better health care, you should allow the American people to opt out of government medicine. And the way to do this is to not de-emphasize the medical savings account, but let people opt out, pay their bills, get back to the doctor-patient relationship. There is inflation worked into it. When the government gets involved in an industry, prices always go up. We have tort laws to deal with, and we need more competition in medicine. But most important thing is letting the people have control of their money and get it out of the hands of the third party. As soon as you go to the government, the lobbyists line up, the drug companies line up, the insurance companies line up, and even with Obamacare, the industries, the corporations get behind it and affect the outcome, and already insurance premiums are going up.
Herman Cain, same question. Is there any aspect of so-called Obamacare that you would keep?
No. I think we all agree that Obamacare must be repealed because it is a disaster. And the more we learn about it and the more time goes along, the more we see. We're all in agreement with that. But here's where I would start in answering that question. It's called H.R. 3400. This was introduced back in 2009, but you didn't hear a lot of talk about it. Instead of government being imposed on our system, it basically passes market-centered, market-driven, patient-centered sort of reforms to allow association health plans, to allow loser pay laws, to allow insurance products to be sold across state lines, and a whole list of other things. So that's a great place to start. It allows the patient and the doctors to make the decisions, not a bureaucrat. I'd start with H.R. 3400.
Governor Perry, in the last debate, Governor Romney pointed out that Texas has one of the highest rates of uninsured children in the country, over 1 million kids. You did not get an opportunity to respond to that. What do you say how do you explain that?
Well, we've got one of the finest healthcare systems in the world in Texas. As a matter of fact, the Houston, Texas Medical Center, there's more doctors, nurses go to work there every morning than any place else in America. So the idea that you can't have access to health care, some of the finest health care in the world, but we have a 1,200-mile border with Mexico. And the fact is we have a huge number of illegals that are coming into this country. And they're coming into this country because the federal government has failed to secure that border. But they're coming here because there is a magnet. And the magnet is called jobs. And those people that hire illegals ought to be penalized. Admit you lose all of your standing from my perspective because you hired illegals in your home and you knew about it for a year. And the idea that you stand here before us and talk about that you're strong on immigration is on its face the height of hypocrisy.
Governor Romney?
Rick, I don't think I've ever hired an illegal in my life. And so I'm afraid, I'm looking forward to finding your facts on that because that just doesn't...
I'll tell you what the facts are.
Rick, again...
You had the word...
I'm speaking.
I'm speaking. The newspaper...
I'm speaking.
It's time for you to tell the truth.
You get 30 seconds.
Time for you to tell the truth.
The way the rules work here is that I get 60 seconds.
Well, no, but the American people
and then you get 30 seconds to respond, right?
And they want to hear you say that you knew you had illegals.
Would you please wait? Are you just going to keep talking?
Yes,
Or are you going to let me finish with what I have to say? Look, Rick...
I thought Republicans followed rules.
This has been a tough couple of debates for Rick, and I understand that, and so you're going to get testy. But I'll tell you what. Let me take my time, and then you can take your time.
Right.
All right?
Have at it.
All right. My time is this, which is I have in my state when I was governor, I took the action of empowering our state police to enforce immigration laws. When you were governor, you said I don't want to build a fence. You put in place a magnet, you talk about magnets, you put in place a magnet to draw illegals into the state, which was giving $100,000 of tuition credit to illegals that come into this country. And then you have states, the big states of illegal immigrants are California and Florida. Over the last 10 years, they've had no increase in illegal immigration. Texas has had 60% increase in illegal immigrants in Texas. If there's someone who has a record as governor with regards to illegal immigration that doesn't stand up to muster, it's you, not me.
Governor Perry, 30 seconds.
You stood here in front of the American people and did not tell the truth that you had illegals working on your property, and the newspaper came to you and brought it to your attention, and you still, a year later, had those individuals working for you. The idea that you can sit here and talk about any of us having an immigration issue is beyond me. I've got a strong policy. I've always been against amnesty. You, on the other hand, were for amnesty.
I got 30 seconds, then we got to move on to another immigration question.
You wrote an op-ed in the newspaper saying you're open to amnesty. That's number one. Number two, we hired a lawn company to mow our lawn, and they had illegal immigrants that were working there. And when that was pointed out to us, we let them go. And we went to them and said, you have a problem with allowing someone to finish speaking. And I suggest that if you want to become president of the United States, you got to let both people speak. So first, let me speak. So we went to the company and we said, look, you can't have any illegals working on our property. I'm running for office, for Pete's sake. I can't have illegals. It turns out that once again they hired someone who had falsified their documents, had documents, and therefore we fired them. And let me tell you, it is hard in this country as an individual homeowner to know if people who are contractors working at your home, if they've hired people that are illegal. If I'm president, we will put in place an E-Verify system, which you've opposed, to make sure that we can find out who's here illegally and not, and crack down on people who come here illegally.
All right, we're going to stay on the topic of immigration. We're going to stay on the topic of immigration. Everyone's going to get a chance to weigh in. This is a question that was left at CNNPolitics.com. As president, will you order completion of the physical border fence along the entire border between the U.S. and Mexico? That's from Marilyn L. Herman Cain, let me start with you. Obviously, over the weekend, you got a lot of headlines by saying you would have an electrified fence. You then later said it was a joke, and then last night you said it might be electrified. I'm not walking away from that. I just don't want to offend anyone. So would you build an entire fence along the entire border, and would you have it be electrified?
Allow me to give the serious answer. Yes, I believe we should secure the border for real, and it would be a combination of a fence, technology, as well as possibly boots on the ground for some of the more dangerous areas. I don't apologize at all for wanting to protect the American citizens and to protect our agents on the border. No. Secondly, the second thing that I would do, I believe in let's solve the whole problem. We must shut the back door so people can come in the front door. Secondly, promote the existing path to citizenship by cleaning up the bureaucracy in Washington, D.C. Thirdly, enforce the laws, the immigration laws that are already on the books. And here's another one of these bold ideas by the non-politician up here. Empower the states to do what the federal government is not doing in terms of enforcing those laws.
Governor Perry, your state has the longest border with Mexico. Is it possible, to the question, is it possible to build a fence across the entire border?
Sure, you can build a fence, but it takes anywhere between 10 and 15 years and $30 billion. There's a better way, and that's to build a virtual defense zone, if you will, along that border, which is not unlike what Herman's talking about. And you can do it with strategic fencing in the obvious places where it matters. But the way you really stop the activities along that border that are illegal, whether it's the drug cartels or whether it's bringing in illegal weapons or whether it's illegal immigrants that are coming in, is to put boots on the ground. I will tell you, Herman, you put a lot of boots on the ground. You use Predator drones that are being trained right up here at Creech Air Force Base in Nevada to use that real-time information to give those boots on the ground that information, and they can instantly move to those areas. And that is the way to shut that border down, to secure that border, and really make America safe from individuals like those Iranians that are using the drug cartels to penetrate this country.
Congresswoman Bachmann, do you agree with Governor Perry?
Well, I think the person who really has a problem with illegal immigration in the country is President Obama. It's his uncle and his aunt who are illegal aliens who have been allowed to stay in this country despite the fact that they're illegal. This last Saturday, I was the very first candidate that signed a pledge that said that by a date certain, I will build a double-walled fence with a area of security neutrality in between. I will build that because this is what we know. This is an economics issue and a jobs issue.
You're saying you'll build a fence along the entire border?
I will build it on the entire border, and I'll tell you why. Every year, it costs this country $113 billion in the costs that we put out to pay for illegal aliens. It costs the state and local government of that amount $82 billion. For every household of an American citizen, it costs us $1,000 a year. We are robbing the household of Americans who can't afford that. I will build the fence. I will enforce English as the official language of the United States government. And every person who comes into this country will have to agree that they will not receive taxpayer-subsidized benefits of any American citizen.
Fine.
Thank you.
Governor Perry, does that make sense that she says she can build the fence along the entire border?
As I said, you can build that fence, but by the time that fence gets built...
She's also talking about your taxpayer-subsidized benefits.
But my point is that by the time that fence gets built, there is a lot better way than to stand here and to play to some group of people somewhere and say, we're going to build a fence and then wipe our hands of it. I've been dealing with this border for 10 years as the governor. And the reason that we have this issue is because the federal government has failed miserably to defend and secure that border.
Which
you know, for someone that's been in the United States Congress to lecture me on the issues that are going on that border is not right. Let me tell you, we've had to deal with that issue in the state of Texas. We've had to deal with the impact on our state. And I put $400 million on that border of Texas taxpayers' money. Texas Ranger recon teams there. We know how to secure the border. I shared with you earlier how to do it. You put the boots on the ground, the aviation assets in the air, and you secure that border.
Can I respond?
He wasn't talking about you directly.
No, he did
let's step
respond.
back. I think it's important for us as Republicans on this stage to say something which hasn't been said, and that is I think every single person here loves legal immigration. We respect people who come here illegally. And the reason we're so animated about stopping illegal immigration is there are 4.5 million people who want to come here or inline legally. We want that to happen in an orderly and legal process. And in terms of how to secure the border, it's really not that hard. You have a fence, you have enough Border Patrol agents to oversee the fence, and you turn off the magnets. And that's employers that hire people who they know are here illegally. That's why you have an E-Verify system, so they can know that. And number two, you turn off the magnets like tuition breaks or other breaks that draw people into this country illegally. It's not that hard. We have to get the political will to get the job done. And Governor Perry, you say you've got the experience. It's a bit like saying that, you know, the college coach that's lost 40 games in a row has the experience to go to the NFL. But the truth is, California, I'll say it again, California and Florida have both had no increase in illegal immigration, and yours is up 60% over the last 10 years.
Governor Perry, 30 seconds to respond.
Well, the bottom line is that we have a federal government that has failed. There is a clear problem here. And he hit the nail on the head a while ago. He said there was a magnet of people that will hire illegals, and you are number one on that list, sir. And people need to understand that. You're one of the problems, Mitt.
I think we've been down that road.
Yeah, I think we've been down that road sufficiently. It sounds like the audience agrees with me.
We're continuing on immigration. We have a question in the audience.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to ask my question. We have 50 million Latinos, and not all of us are illegal. What is the message from you guys to our Latino community?